Hey everybody, and welcome to Emmaus. First of all, we miss you guys. We wish we were in person for this, but we're thankful to connect with you for another week of our Emmaus Stay-In series. And tonight, before we get to the talk, I've just got a few announcements for you guys. First, after Mason's talk, we're going to be joining for small groups, and we'd love to get you plugged in, but it's going to look a little different than the last few weeks. So below in the description of this video, you're going to see a Zoom call link, just one. Go ahead and click on that anytime during the talk tonight, even now during announcements, and it's going to take you to a general call. And in that call, we're going to assign you to breakout groups, and these breakout groups will be your normal middle school, high school, small groups. So what happens is at the end of the talk, when you open up that Zoom app and that call that you've joined, you're going to be prompted to join your breakout group, and that'll be your small group and how you connect tonight. So again, at any time during the talk tonight, open up the Zoom app and connect to that call, and then that app can be running in the background while you're listening to this YouTube live video. So go ahead and do that and connect with small groups tonight. We would love to see you guys in those calls. And then also next weekend we have Emmaus Zoom prom. So this is for all of high school Emmaus, and we are throwing you guys a prom over Zoom. And it's going to be on Saturday, May 2nd at 7 p.m. And it's going to be a night full of music and dancing, but also prizes, awards, and just a lot of fun. It'll be a great way to connect with each other and just kind of have something different for that weekend. So dress up, wear your prom dress or your tux, or if you don't want to dress up, that's okay. Join anyway. We would love to see you there and just have a fun night with everybody. Make sure that you're looking at our social media pages and also sign up for our Blit text messages so that way you get the Zoom call link. And then this week on Friday, 2 days from now at 7 p.m., we are having an Emmaus game night. And this is for all of Emmaus, both middle school and high school. Some of your Sherpas will join for this. But it's just going to be a way where we get to connect, play some games, see some familiar faces that you haven't seen in a while. And same thing. Make sure that you're looking out for that Zoom link on our social media pages as well as the text message. But we're also going to dress up for this, but not prom dress up, more like crazy costume dress up. So if you have crazy hair day or crazy hat or whatever else you have to create a crazy costume for this call, go ahead and throw it on, and then we'll see you for that call this week. Again, this Friday at 7 p.m. And then finally, next week, we are continuing our Emmaus Stay-In series, and we're going to be premiering the live action Lion King. So make sure to tune in next week, watch the movie this weekend, tune in next week for the talk, and we'd love to connect with you guys again next week. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get on to the rest of our night tonight at Emmaus.
Long ago, the world was full of wonder. It was adventurous, exciting, and best of all, there was magic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Emmaus. We are in week 5 of the Emmaus Stay-In series, and tonight we are looking at the movie Onward. Hope you guys were able to watch it on Disney+. It is a great movie. I really enjoyed it. My wife called it the male version of Frozen, minus the singing, of course, because it's kind of this brother adventure together instead of this sisterhood adventure. But I really enjoyed it, and as you could see in that first scene, they're kind of doing a flashback to the time of magic, right? Where there was all these things going on. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, that's February. Now, I'm not a big fan of February, but February, looking back, feels like a time of magic, where we could do all the things. We could do this crazy thing called meet in groups. I don't know if you've ever heard about it, but it feels magical now. I look forward to doing it again one day. And so as I watched this scene, I was just like, oh my gosh, that is totally February. But we're going to be diving into this movie tonight, and I want to show you guys one more clip before we get started, so check this out.
We know this tavern is still there.
It's there! Look, my years of training have prepared me for this very moment. And I'm telling you, this is the only way to find a phoenix gem. Trust me.
Whatever it takes, I am gonna meet my dad.
You hear that, Dad? We're going on a quest. Guinevere.
Maybe we should just take the bus.
He's fine.
Ian and Barley are two brothers who aren't very close. And as we saw in this scene here, they find out that there is a magical spell that they can use to bring back their dad. Their dad passed away before Ian was born, and Barley only has a few memories of him. And so they get really excited, except the spell only works halfway. And so we have these legs walking around in the room that are their dad, but they know they need to embark on a quest to find this stone to be able to bring back the rest of their dad. Now, these are two brothers that don't get along very well. They're kind of polar opposites, but they go out and they embark on a quest together. And as I was watching this movie, I couldn't help but be reminded of the story of David and Jonathan from the Old Testament. You might know David as King David. This is before he became king, and Jonathan's dad was actually king of Israel. His name was Saul. But David and Jonathan had a close bond between the two of them. So much so that Jonathan would help protect David from when his dad was about to kill him. Check out this passage right here. It says this. But David took an oath and said, "Your father knows very well that I have found favor in your eyes." And he has said to himself, "Jonathan must not know this, or he will be grieved. Yet as surely as the Lord lives and as you live, there is only one step between me and death." Jonathan said to David, "Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it for you." Right? There's this huge element of self-sacrifice coming from Jonathan here, even to the point where it says this later in verse 16. So Jonathan made a covenant with the house of David, saying, "May the Lord call David's enemies to account." And Jonathan had David reaffirm his oath out of love for him, because he loved him as he loved himself. These are two guys who have a deep love and connection for one another. Their friendship goes so deep and so strong. And as I look at friendships around Emmaus and around the world today, something like this just doesn't exist as much anymore, right? Because there's a lot that goes into this deep friendship. So tonight we're going to be looking at some keys to godly friendships. What do you need in godly friendships? The first thing is this: friendships are tested in times of uncertainty, right? That's exactly what we're in right now. Maybe there's some folks that you talk to at school every day or every other day, and you thought that they were 100% your friends, and you've realized that now that you're not conveniently together, that friendship really wasn't as real as you thought it was. See, friendships are tested in uncertain times. And I'm going to go ahead and brag on one of my friends here for a second, because I went through some really uncertain times a few years ago, right after the fires. Right? I didn't know what was going on after I lost my house. I was totally kind of like head spinning, trying to figure out what I need to do next. And Austin George was a great friend to me in that time. He immediately brought me a suitcase full of clothes and was just like, "Let me know how I can help you." He was doing everything to kind of meet my need because I had no idea what I needed. Friends are there for you when you need them. They're friends in uncertain times. And right now, more than ever, you might feel like, you know what, I need friends who are there for me, and I need to be a friend that is there for someone else. We have got to show up for each other. And that's exactly what Jonathan did for David. It looked like Saul was about to kill David, and Jonathan showed up in that uncertain time and said, "I'm going to be there for you, I'm going to make a covenant for you, and I'm going to protect you." And Jonathan later even warns David about his dad's plot to kill him. We see this in 1 Samuel chapter 23. It says, let me get that up. "Don't be afraid," he said. "My father Saul will not lay a hand on you. You will be king over Israel, and I will be second to you. Even my father knows this. The two of them made a covenant before the Lord." Okay, uncertain times, Jonathan is there. And the next thing, and this is the key in this verse right here, is Jonathan sacrifices for David. Friendships are built on sacrifice. If they weren't, there wouldn't be such thing as friendships, because when we are completely focused on ourselves and what we can get out of a relationship, we drain one another. Friendships have to be focused on sacrifice. Jonathan knew he was going to be king. That's what everybody else in the world would have expected for to happen in that situation, for Jonathan to become king. And Jonathan says, "You know what? It's more important for me to be in line with the will of God and to sacrifice what I want for what God knows is good. So David, I will be your second in command. I won't be king, I'll be second in command. You will be king because that is God's will. You see, as friends, we've got to sacrifice. We've got to be willing to step outside of our comfort zone and to say, you know what? It's not about what I want all the time. Sometimes it's about laying ourselves down for somebody else to help them out. I saw this demonstrated really well last week. I'm going to brag on my sister for a second. She flew down to San Diego to drive back with a friend who was coming back to stay with her parents for a few weeks. Now, you might be thinking like, okay, well, she was stuck in quarantine. She didn't have any friends and she got to go be with a friend. That sounds great. I would love to fly to San Diego right now. Here's the thing. She paid for that flight down there. And she sacrificed to be with her friend in, 9 hours, driving back from San Diego, not a fun drive, all that kind of stuff, to be able to be there and care for her friend. Sacrifice looks like a lot of different things. For some of you, maybe it's time. It's taking the time out of your day to be there for a friend, even when you have something else to do, which, let's be honest, we don't. But when we get back to having things to do, maybe you just sacrifice some of your time. Maybe you're sacrificing money to be able to be with that friend or care for that friend. I don't know. Giving out of your own pocket. Maybe you're sacrificing your status. You know that you're going to, lose popularity or whatever it's going to be if you hang out with that person, but you know that they're your friend and you're going to sacrifice your own self-image for the sake of them. Maybe you sacrifice your own willingness to be included in something, right? Because you want to stick with somebody who's been excluded from it. And probably the most important sacrifice you can make right now is being intentional. Not just saying, hey, we're both on Xbox at the same time, let's hang out together because it's convenient. But actually saying, hey, can we schedule time to FaceTime this week? I want to know how you're doing. I want to know what you're going through. I want to hear what God is doing in your life. I want to hear what struggles you're having with God right now. I want to talk about those things with you. Friendships are about sacrifice, and right now is the time where we can demonstrate what it means to be a true friend, even while we're locked up, and that's by being intentional. The last thing that we see with this friendship that goes hand in hand with sacrifice is actually humility. And check out this scene real quick. Okay, I know what you're thinking. You're expecting a clip from Onward. Totally understand. Here's the thing. Disney locks down their copyright and we weren't able to actually show the clip. So I'm going to explain it to you really quick. Ian and Barley are fighting this dragon as they're about to bring back their father. Barley says, hey, I'll go fight off the dragon for you so you can meet Dad for the first time. Ian says, no, listen, you need to meet Dad. You need to be able to say your goodbye. I have never had a dad, but I've had someone there for me the whole time, and it was you, Barley. You were the one who was there. So Ian goes, fights off the dragon, and then he's kind of standing in the rubble. He looks through a hole, and he sees Barley basically saying goodbye to his dad, and then the dad disappears. But it was this huge act of sacrifice and humility. It is a really heart-wrenching scene. And as I throw it back over to the other version of Mason, who thinks that there was a video clip there, he's going to explain about how heart-wrenching it is. Just play along with him. That scene, it gets me every time. But here's the thing. Friendships thrive on humility. And obviously that scene was a lot about sacrifice. It was Ian sacrificing the ability for him to meet his dad. But even more than that was he had an attitude of humility in the midst of it. Right? He wasn't out running around saying, look how awesome I am, and sharing that with everybody and all this kind of stuff. But his attitude was right. And it was one that was of humility, of humbleness. See, in our friendships, we have got to have an attitude of humility. And when we do, our friendships will thrive. I don't know about you, but something that drives me nuts is when somebody serves or sacrifices and then has to tell the whole world about it. Raise your hand if you know somebody who has gone out and served somebody and then had to tell the whole world about it and wouldn't shut up about it. Yeah? Hands all over the room. Okay, I kid. But I'm seeing them probably in the comments right now. I had a guy in college that I knew. He's got the same last name as me, so I won't rat him out. But he used to do all these different kinds of service things, but then he talked about it all the time. And he'd go on and on and on about how great he was and how great the programs were and all this kind of stuff. And eventually you're like, I wish you just didn't serve. It would have been so much easier for everybody if you just didn't serve, because we wouldn't have had to listen to it all the time. Now, I'm not saying that sharing about what you're doing and you're serving is a bad thing, but when it becomes this bragging and just like talking about yourself again and again and again and again, it just gets old. Friendships are based on humility, especially friendships in God. You've got to be able to go to somebody and be humble about when you're wrong, humble about what's going on in your life, humble about receiving feedback, all of those things. Those are the kind of the key ingredients of friendship. So what does it mean to be in friendship in lockdown? I've got 4 things that you can do to be in friendship in lockdown. And I forgot to put up the slide. So I will edit a slide over my face with these points on it. But it'll say this. What does it mean to be intentional while in lockdown? To be friends while in lockdown. The first one is this: be intentional. Reach out to your friends, schedule time with them. Second one, take time to listen and care. Don't make it all about you. Don't make it all about the things you need to download, but actually listen to what your friend has to say to you. The third one is practice prayerfulness. Okay? I really like that. Practice prayerfulness. Say it 3 times fast. Pray for your friends. Write a list down, and every morning pray for them. And it won't take you that long, unless you really get good at prayer, and then it'll take you a pretty long time. But just start. Start praying for your friends. And the fourth thing is this: encourage one another. When you're on those FaceTimes with your friends, just say, you know what? You're doing a great job at this. You've got this. I believe in you. Whatever it may be. I see God working in you this way. God has gifted you in such a special way. But just reach out to them and pray for them. And then encourage them. Would you join me in prayer? Let's pray. God, thank you so much for today. And God, I just thank you for everyone at home right now, God, with us here in Emmaus. And God, I pray for friendships in this time. God, I pray that you would begin to protect them. God, that you would surround them with your protection. God, and you would strengthen them through this time away. God, allow us to be able to jump into small groups and to connect with one another. God, and to know that we have friends in our small groups. God, I pray that you'd be with each and every person tonight. We pray this in your son's name. Amen. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget to jump into small group right now. Click the links below. Jump into small group. You do not want to miss out on this. It's going to be so great. Your Sherpas are there, ready to hang out with you. Also, we'll see you guys at the game night on Friday, 7 p.m. It'll be a blast. Hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you then.